Welcome to SurveyMethods.com's video tutorial on advanced page logic and setting quotas. This is the second in a series of videos covering the SurveyMethods survey, newsletter, and event management application. In our last video, we showed you how to build a survey from scratch and customize the look and feel. We'll include a link to that video in the description below. In this video, we will show you how to configure different types of page logic in your survey. We will also show you how to set quotas so that you can set limits on the number of responses from specific categories of respondents. You will need a SurveyMethods professional account for many of the features we will be covering in this video, but don't worry, you can sign up for a 7-day, fully functional free trial by clicking on the Start Your Free Trial button on our website, SurveyMethods.com. Using page logic, you can customize the flow of your survey to present only those sections of your survey to respondents that are relevant to them. For example, you may have different questions for users in different geographical areas, or you may want to ask additional questions to respondents with children. Those rules can be set up using page logic. Based on the logic rules, you can direct respondents to relevant sections of the survey, for example, skipping a page, redirect respondents to another survey or website, display a customized message, screen respondents based on panel or quota rules, or end the survey. Let's start by showing you an example based on our Acme customer satisfaction survey we created in the last video. To give a simple example, let's say that we do not want responses from users that do not use our products. To start, let's go back into the survey design page on our customer satisfaction survey. You'll recall that question 3 on our survey is, do you use Acme's household care products? So we can use that question to create our logic. To do so, we'll click on Add Page Logic at the top of the page. On the next page, we're given 4 options for setting page logic: questions, quotas, custom fields, and unconditional. We'll come back to the other 3, but our current logic is going to be set based on a response to a question, so we'll click on Questions here. Next, it's going to ask us for the condition that we want to test. We'll choose question 3 in the dropdown, then we're shown 2 additional dropdowns. The middle dropdown is how we want to test the question. So you can choose things like is exactly equal to, is equal to any of, if you want to screen for more than one option, or even whether the respondent provided any or no response. If you have a numerical question, this section will also allow you to choose greater than, less than or equal to, etc. In this case, we want to set an action where the user's response is exactly equal to, and then we'll choose no. So we are setting an action when a user responds no to the question, do you use Acme's household care products? Then we'll specify the action. If the user does not use our products, we want them to end the survey. We'll discuss some of the other options a little bit later. Now our logic is set, so we'll hit the save and then exit to return to the survey. If we want to test to make sure it's working, we can hit preview. Now we'll choose some responses, making sure to select no on question 3. When we hit next, the page logic will be applied and we will be taken to the survey completion page, and we'll see the message that is set up in the survey completion setting. So our page logic is working as designed. When we return to the survey, you will now see this yellow bar at the top of the page, which shows you that the page has page logic applied. You can click the down arrow to see the page logic and whether or not it is active. Let's try adding a couple of additional logic conditions and actions. Let's say now that we also do not want any responses from respondents under 26 years of age. We'll click on Edit Page Logic. On this page, we can add a new group of conditions by clicking Add Group. Note that we can name these groups, so I'll name the first group Non-Customers and the second group Under 18. We'll follow the same steps as before by choosing Questions, and then choosing the first question, what is your current age? In this case, we want the action to apply if a respondent chooses either under 18 or 19 to 25. So we'll select is equal to any of, and then choose those 2 options. We want the same action to apply, so we'll select End Survey and click Save. we now have 2 conditions set. However, as you can see, we have the same action set for both of these conditions. So there's another way we can do this by setting 2 conditions within the same group. Let's first delete the second group and then rename the first group to End Survey. Now we can click on the Add Condition button and you'll see that we get a new drop-down with 2 options, and or. For this second condition, we can specify whether both conditions need to be met in order for the action to occur, or either condition. We want the survey to end if either the respondent doesn't use Acme's products, or they are under 26, or both, of course. For this, we'll use the or choice. Next, we'll set the condition just as we did before. Once that is saved, the system will now test both conditions, and if either is met, the respondent will be taken directly to the end of the survey. As you can probably tell, you have a lot of flexibility in designing the page logic. Let's look at an even more complex example to show you how subgroups can work. Let's say that for 2 specific groups, respondents over 55 who have 2 or more kids, or respondents 26 to 55 who have 1 or more kids, we want to have them skip page 2 and go straight to page 3. Let's show you how to set this up using groups and subgroups. We'll first click Add Group to start a new group, and then we'll name it Parents. These are all going to be set based on questions, so we'll choose questions, and then the first condition will be based on age of the respondents. We'll start with the over 55 with 2 or more children, so we'll say if the respondent's age is exactly equal to and above 55. Now we want to set a second condition to test alongside that, so we'll click Add Condition and use the AND operator to also test if those respondents have 2 or more kids. So question 2, then where the response is greater than or equal to and 2. We could also set it to greater than 1 and that would have the same effect. Next, we want to set up the second group for respondents 26 to 54 with 1 or more children. This is going to be a second subgroup so that we can test those simultaneously, so we'll click Add Subgroup. We'll change this operator to OR because we want to test whether a respondent fits into either these 2 conditions or these 2 conditions. And if they meet either, we'll perform the action. So we'll click Questions, choose question 1, and test whether it's equal to any of the 3 age groups from 26 to 55. Then we want to add a condition within the subgroup and test whether these respondents also have 1 or more children. You can add subgroups to subgroups or add additional subgroups as needed. You can also deactivate any of the page logic groups if you don't want the conditions to be tested, but you want to save it for later. Lastly, we'll set the action to have these users jump to page 3, essentially skipping page 2. When we hit save and then exit, we can see we now have 2 different sets of page logic active. Let's go ahead and test this new page logic by clicking Preview. I'll set the responses to match our new criteria and click Next. Once the page logic is tested, you'll see it takes us directly from page 1 to page 3, so it's working as designed. Let's now move to quotas, and then we'll come back to the other condition types for page logic. To set up our quotas, we will go into the survey settings, which can be accessed at this button on the survey design page or from the My Surveys page. We'll go to the menu called Automatically Close Survey by Date and Time or Manage Quotas. For an example, let's say we want no more than 50 responses from each age group and no more than 200 total responses. I will first set the total responses limit, so I'll change the title to Response Limit. The quotas configuration page works similarly to the page logic settings, so we get to choose between questions, custom fields, and unconditional. This quota is an unconditional limit, so we'll select Unconditional and then set the limit to 200. Once we reach that limit, we want to close the survey so no more responses are collected. Your other options once a quota is met are to redirect users to a website or another survey, show a custom message, or if you're using a panel integration, there are additional actions you can take to provide data to your panel company. I'll hit exit and save the changes, and now you'll see the first quota set. Next, we'll set the quota for each age group. This will be a question-based quota. You can see we have access to all of the questions on the survey. We'll choose current age, is equal to, and 26 to 35. We don't need to worry about under 18 and 19 to 25 because we've already excluded them from taking the survey at all using our page logic. You can similarly use additional conditions or subgroups to add other criteria for your quota. In our case, it will just be based on age group, so we'll enter the quota as 50, and then we will show a message and leave the default message and click Save. We're not going to close the survey when we reach this quota because we want to continue collecting responses from people in other age groups. We have our first quota set now, so I will follow the same steps to add the other quotas. Okay, there you have it. We have all of our quotas set up. You can return to this page when your survey is live to see the status of each of the quotas. You can also deactivate them by unchecking the box here, or you can reset the count if you'd like. That will not erase existing responses, but will start the counter over at 0. I will click Save to return to the survey settings page, and then scroll to the bottom and click Back to return to survey design. Let's look at the other options for page logic. We'll go to page 2 so we have a clean slate. As mentioned before, the 4 options you have for setting page logic are questions, quotas, custom fields, and unconditional. Now that we have set quotas, we have the option to set page logic based on the quota conditions as well. In the dropdown, we now have the quota conditions we have set previously, and we can now set actions based on whether the quota condition is met or when the response count for that quota reaches certain levels. The actions are the same as before. Keep in mind, what we are doing is setting the action that happens on this page, whereas the actions specified on the quota management page are what will happen when a user submits the full survey. So if you want to specify an action during the survey, but based on the quotas, you can do so here. The next option is custom fields. Custom fields are additional data about respondents that are provided by you as part of an email list. I have an example email list here where we have 10 email addresses and then the first name, last name, and region associated with each. In this example, first name, last name, and region are custom fields. You can upload up to 5 custom fields in any email list, and they can be whatever information you want to include about your respondents. You can then use these custom fields throughout the application, for example, to insert the respondent's name in the launch email. A common use for custom fields is in page logic. Let's say in our example, we want to specify an action for respondents in a certain region. We can set up the page logic to evaluate the value of the custom field containing the name of that region, and then specify an action down below. You'll notice that right now the custom fields just say custom field 1 through 5, and that's because I have not launched the survey to an email list with custom fields, so I have not tied these custom fields to this survey. Once the email list is uploaded to the application and the survey is launched to that group, the custom fields will populate with the actual custom field names. The last option for page logic is to set it unconditionally. This means that no matter what, when a respondent completes this page, the specified action will be taken. There are a number of reasons you may want to use this feature, but I'll give one example. Let's take a look at a sample survey structure whereby we have one page with a set of questions, and then we want to apply page logic to split respondents into two groups. Each of those groups will complete 2 pages of questions, and then both will complete the same set of questions on page 4. At a high level, this is what the survey will look like to a respondent. However, the application only allows for linear page flow, so the actual survey structure will look more like this. The set of questions that the A respondents will complete will be on pages 2 and 3, and the set of questions for B respondents will be on pages 4 and 5, while the final shared questions will be on page 6. The way you will set up your survey is to test the conditions on page 1, and for the B respondents, you will jump them directly to page 4, while A respondents will follow the normal flow to page 2 and then page 3 after they complete page 2. At that point, the default action would be to go to page 4, but we already know that everyone who has made it to this page should not be completing page 4 questions. So this is where we would put in unconditional page logic to jump those respondents directly to page 6, whereas B respondents will continue to page 6 directly from page 5. This is just one of many reasons you might want to use unconditional page logic. That's it for our tutorial on page logic and survey quotas. If you would like to test out this survey with the page logic we set up on the first page, we will include a link in the description below. We'll also link to the first video on creating the 15-question survey, as well as additional surveys in the series when they come out. Thank you for watching this video. If you're ready to get started with your own survey, visit our website, SurveyMethods.com, and click on the Get Started button at the top right.